Good evening. It is now 6 p.m. on October 23rd, 2017, and it's time to call this regular scheduled meeting of the Board of Trustees of San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District to order. I'll be calling roll this evening. Mr. Chavita, Mr. Mesa.
Here.
Ms. Martinez-Lozano.
Present.
Mr. Orfelt, myself is present. Ms. Haynes. Ms. Gonzalez.
Here.
Mr. Smith. With 4 in attendance and 3 absent, we do have a quorum. Let the record show that a quorum of the board members are present, and this meeting has been duly called, and notice this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. This time, if you would please stand for opening ceremonies. First with a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This evening, we start with many recognitions. First will be the Fine Arts recognition, Jazz Combo. Mr. Rios presenting. They're somewhere. They'll be here in just a second.
Switch them up.
At this time, we are going to move up some items there to go in and give Fine Arts, they need some time to set up, so we're going to move some stuff on the agenda under recognitions. And there we will go in and go straight into B, resolution in honor of Miss Martha E. Galindo, myself and Dr. Rios presenting. If I could have Martha's family come on up here so that we can present all of this to you as well. Of course, everyone knows that a couple of months ago, we lost a great educator in the school district, Ms. Martha Galindo. And those that student taught with her, myself, those that got to teach with her, many of you in here, many of you were students, she left an indelible mark on you. As well as the state of Texas, because she was in 2002 named the Texas Elementary Teacher of the Year. And upon her passing, State Senator Carlos Uresti went in and had a resolution via the state of Texas issued there, and we present that tonight to the family. And I'll read it for you all. Whereas Martha E. Galindo of Del Rio, an esteemed educator and friend of many, passed away on July 25th, 2017 at the age of 69, and whereas the daughter of Raul and Maria de Jesus Sanchez, Marta Galindo was born on August 5th, 1947 in Del Rio. She graduated from San Felipe High School in 1966 and continued her education at Sul Ross State University, where she earned a bachelor's and master's degree in education in 1983 and 1995, respectively. And whereas Ms. Galindo first joined the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District in 1972 as a secretary in the Transportation Department, and after more than a decade began her teaching career at Garfield Elementary School, she later worked at Eastside Elementary and Ruben Chavita Elementary, specializing in the development of reading skills. She went on to serve as the district's early literacy coordinator from 2014 until her retirement in 2016. During her 44-year tenure with the district, she inspired numerous children, mentored dozens of student teachers, and she was named Texas Teacher of the Year in 2002 in recognition for her outstanding work. And whereas, valuing her family above all else, Ms. Galindo was the proud mother of 3 children, Rick, Sherry, Jacqueline, and with the passing years, she was further blessed with 4 grandchildren with whom she treasured spending many special occasions. A woman who lived life to the fullest. She loved to travel and was always on the lookout for her next great adventure. And whereas possessed of a generosity of spirit that expressed itself in a myriad of ways, Marta E. Galindo touched countless lives with her dedication, enthusiasm, and infectious sense of humor. And all of those fortunate enough to have known her will forever hold her close in their hearts now, and therefore be it resolved that tribute be paid to the memory of Marta E. Galindo, and that sincere condolences be extended to her family and to her many friends. The Honorable Carlos Oresti, State Senator, District 19. So I'd like to give this to y'all. As well, and I'll let you know where you hold this. You were out there to see that come down. Earlier, we retired the Texas flag that has flown over this school district, and it was presented to the family and then placed into the case for them that will go next to the resolution.
Good evening. Tonight we're going to be featuring a very small combo of our jazz band under the direction of Mr. Raúl Cisneros. that's using just a small cross-section of our band members. We have Naomi Munoz on trombone, Jared De La Garza on the drums. Yeah, he's busy right now, trying to move stuff. Jeremiah Lopez on the bass, Victor Carrillo on the trumpet, and Oscar Guerra on the saxophone. Thank you, gentlemen, and young lady. And just really quickly, we are going to set out for the next school board meeting where we have a more of a formal and bring some of the kids and give you some more information of the band's accomplishments. Each of these kids is actually also part of the marching band. But we just got back from UIL competition on Saturday, and we just received our UIL trophy in marching. And I'm very happy to say that we have it in writing, where one of the judges wrote that we were the best band at the Region 11 contest out of the entire day. So we've been winning and winning and winning, and we hope to continue that trend. We were finalists in BOA in McAllen. We came in 8th place. In Midland BOA competition, we came in 7th place. And we actually beat bands that have made state finals. So the goal for next year is that we hope to see our Mighty Ram band in the state finals. So thank you so much. I want to thank administration for all their support and all the wonderful things that you do for our kids in your school district. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have C, recognition of Campus Teacher of the Month for September 2017, Ms. Aide Garcia.
Good evening, Mr. Overfeld, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Last year, the district initiated the Teacher of the Month program, which is designated to spotlight our most dedicated and talented teachers. Today, our principals get an opportunity to announce the September Teacher of the Month for their campus.
Good evening, President Overfelt, and board members, and Dr. Rios. Today, Del Rio High School would like to honor the Teacher of the Month with a Certificate of Excellence, Mrs. Terry Aarons. Mrs. Aarons has been at Del Rio High School for many years, and this past summer and last year, she has shown all of us that with dedication and a lot of work, many things can come true. Today, Mrs. Aarons is behind me, and as you can see, she walked behind me. She was not doing that a few months ago, and we are truly blessed to have a role model like Mrs. Aarons. Our school has really promoted excellence, and she has been a true leader. She's collaborated with her colleagues. She has shown a lot of leadership. She has worked with Edmentum to work on our Plato program, and we truly are blessed to have Mrs. Aarons with us. Thank you.
Well, good evening, Mr. Overfeld, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. I'm here before you to introduce our Teacher of the Month for Early College High School. And our first Teacher of the Month is Mrs. Melinda Costilla. We are extremely proud of what she is doing with the district's Early College High School. Mrs. Costilla has been with the district at the freshman campus for over 20 years. But 3 years ago, she joined our team, and she is our specialist in Algebra 1, Geometry, and this year, she's crossed over to college algebra. She is part of adjunct faculty with Southwest Texas Junior College. We are extremely proud that she spent the summer this year auditing classrooms at the college, prepping for our kids to take the college algebra class, and in our second semester, she will tackle the plane trigonometry. I can't even say it. So she's doing an excellent job and continues to strive to improve and welcomes feedback from the teachers that she works with and her students as well. So congratulations.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, President Overfeld, members of the board. I have with me today Mackenzie Grassetti. Mackenzie is a second-year veteran of Del Rio freshmen. This year, she's really stepped it up. She has volunteered to co-sponsor the freshman class. And under her encouragement, the freshman class has won the Spirit Stick twice this year. We are very proud of that. It is a big one, yes. Also, however, she spearheaded a project where letters were written to deployed military personnel for Freedom Week, and this was through the ELA classroom. And then she's also spearheading another project where poems will be written for military personnel as well, from my understanding.
This evening it is my pleasure to introduce Mrs. Sigley, Maria Sigley. She is an 8th grade teacher at Del Rio Middle School. She has great classroom management, and with daily walkthroughs, we see her inspirations and her high expectations for her students. She has accomplished great scores in the past. Her expectations will help build strong foundations for our students. Ms. Sigley spends countless hours preparing lessons and finding resources to cover all the concepts. She has recently also returned back to school, and she's currently working on her doctoral degree at Our Lady of Lake University in San Antonio. She's a great asset to our district, and we love her at Del Rio Middle School. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Overfelt and Dr. Rios and School Board for letting us recognize our teachers. Mrs. Huffhines, also known as Mrs. H, is a great advocate for our students who are serviced by special education. She works closely with 5 other special education teachers, academic support specialists, tutors, our diagnostician, all staff and administration to ensure their success in academics and behavior. They meet once a month or as needed and are often looking for creative ways to meet their unique needs. When some of our students struggled the first 6 weeks with grades, AR points, testing, etc., she right away offered to tutor or support our early birds in the library or lab. At the beginning of the year, she met with our counselors to double check correct schedules. Mrs. Huffhines is a UIL coach, department head, and one of the reasons why SFMMS will have double-digit scores this year. Thank you, Mrs. H, for all you do for one of our special pops at our school. We appreciate you.
Good evening, President Overfelt, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. It is an honor for me to introduce to you this evening our Cardwell September Teacher of the Month, Ms. Tania De Leon. Ms. De Leon has been a teacher at Cardwell for the past 3 years, 1 year serving as a 3-year-old teacher and 2 years as a 4-year-old teacher. She also taught 6th through 12th grade Spanish at Harmony Charter School in Laredo before relocating to Del Rio. She is the proud mother of 2 beautiful daughters, Hania, age 9, and Alexa, age 6, along with her supporting husband, Mr. Jesus De Leon. Ms. De Leon is extremely patient with all of her students and wears a beautiful smile on her face every single day. When you enter her room, she is consistently engaged in lessons with all of her children, whether it's reading a book on the carpet, writing their alphabet letters, singing and dancing during transitions, or counting objects in centers. Ms. De Leon teaches from the heart. Ms. De Leon is extremely positive and always willing to help others, winning the praise of all of our staff. Not to mention, she's a great dancer. Ms. De Leon is truly a joy to have at Cardwell, and we are blessed to have her as we celebrate her as our first Teacher of the Month for 2017-2018. Congratulations, Ms. De Leon.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, President Overfelt, and members of the board. It's my pleasure to present to you Mrs. Leticia Reina. She's a 4th grade math and science teacher at Dr. Fermin Calderon. Mrs. Reina's passion for teaching shows every time we walk into her classroom. Her class is full of discussion and includes activities that build academic vocabulary, language, and social skills, and you can see the mutual respect amongst everyone in her classroom. Not only does she know how our students learn,
but she takes the time to build relationships with her students and the families that she serves. Her lessons are engaging, and there is never a lost minute in the classroom. The procedures and structures she incorporates in her class helps build responsibility and student leadership. She helps the district in the C&I department by leading math collaboratives and presenting to her fellow teachers, tackling leadership roles in her second year of teaching. Dr. Fermin Calderon is proud to present Mrs. Leticia Reina as the September Teacher of the Month. We are very proud and honored.
Good evening, President Overfelt, members of the school board, and Dr. Rios. I am proud to present Melissa Newman as our September Teacher of the Month for Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary. Mrs. Newman is an outstanding teacher. The word no is not in her vocabulary. She can be counted on to go above and beyond for the benefit of all of the fifth grade students at Lonnie Green. She works not only with her campus team, but with the district planning team that involves all the elementary campuses. Mrs. Newman's classroom is always abuzz with activity, whether it be a science experiment or students talking about what they've learned in today's lesson. She expects the best from her students, and they deliver. Lonnie Green earned 5 distinctions from TEA for their performance on STAR last year. One of those distinctions was in science, and no doubt due to Mrs. Newman's passion for teaching, commitment to excellence, and love of students. Congratulations, Mrs. Newman.
Good evening, Mr. Overfelt, board members, and Dr. Rios. It is my honor to introduce Vanessa Martinez, art teacher at Garfield Elementary. Within the first week of being named principal at Garfield Elementary back in July, Mrs. Martinez took the initiative first by texting me and then by coming in to see me. As the campus leader and me Lighthouse facilitator, Mrs. Martinez shared with me the vision for the new school year, and she helped me understand the importance of this district initiative. She initiated and oversaw the beautification of the Teacher's Lounge. She inspires others to participate, and she always offers to help in campus activities that continue to make Garfield an awesome place to work for staff and an awesome place to attend school for students. Mrs. Martinez has maintained momentum as a member of my leadership team, and she has helped us stay focused on Leader in Me activities that continue to enrich student learning by creating an awesome school culture for staff and students. Again, it was my pleasure to nominate Ms. Vanessa Martinez as Garfield's September Teacher of the Month.
Good evening, President Overfelt, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Our Teacher of the Month for the month of September at Lamar Elementary is Mrs. Amanda Cienega. There are so many reasons Mrs. Cienega was nominated for this recognition. She served as our 3rd grade team leader and is currently serving as our 4th grade team leader. She works super hard to make sure that her team is maximizing all of their time in the planning protocol, in addition to the delivery of instruction in the classroom. She is always willing to lend a helping hand to any staff member who needs it and will do absolutely anything, and I mean she's the first to volunteer. She is also one of our student council sponsors and helped our students achieve recognition for their TEPSA contest song last year. She is always ready to volunteer for whatever campus events are going on, but most importantly, she is always putting our students' needs first and what's best for them. We congratulate Mrs. Cienega on all her hard work, and she truly deserves this recognition. Mrs. Cienega is Lamar Pride.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, President Overfelt, and members of the board. I want to introduce to you Mrs. Benavides, who is our 2nd grade teacher at North Heights Elementary. She is our September Teacher of the Month. Ms. Benavides is no stranger to instruction. Although this is her first year at North Heights Elementary, she is beginning her 6th year in this noble profession. It is such a pleasure to see her in action from the start of the day through the end of the day. What is most powerful is seeing her day-to-day interactions with each and every student. Her support for them includes direct eye contact and a special greeting each morning. Her class consists of repetitive chants, reciprocal learning and teaching, and hands-on ways of making learning fun. When you walk into her room, the activities include music, brain breaks, and consistent dialogue, both within the teacher and amongst the students. Promoting engagement through technology is a part of her daily instruction. When students were asked what they liked most about Ms. Benavides, they responded with, "She is fun and she makes learning fun." Thank you, Ms. Benavides, for loving teaching and most importantly for committing to North Height Elementary's mission, every student, every day. You set the standard high for North Heights and we are proud to present her as our September Teacher of the Month.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, President Overfelt, members of the board. It is with great honor that I recognize Mrs. Lynn White as RCE's Teacher of the Month. As first grade cluster leader and active voice on campus, she's one of our most prized assets. Students in her class are greeted with a smile and a handshake as they start each day. Once in the class, the children enjoy hands-on interactive lessons that incorporate problem solving and leadership skills. But her contributions do not stop in her classroom. Crazy Eights is an after-school math and science club that was initiated by Mrs. White to encourage excitement for math and science in our youngest learners. RCE's box top collection efforts are due to Mrs. White and have earned our school a little bit of extra money the past couple of years. Mrs. White is one of those teachers that encourages others to find the best in themselves and to push their students further than they think they can go. We are blessed to call her our own. Congratulations, Mrs. White.
Nicely done, man. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, good job. How you doing? Good. Wearing 5 pounds on your arm, man. Congratulations. Hey, how you doing? Good job. How you doing? I will. Good job, man. Good cameras.
A little bit of words of wisdom here. Now, I just want to tell you that we appreciate everything you do, and we do recognize the fact that you're brought here for a reason, because you do great work in the classroom. I notice that some of you either have a mom or dad that have gone through this, Teacher of the Year, and so they've taught you well, and I'm sure you're the one that protects that instructional time to the minute. So again, thank you for all you do. Appreciate the work, and thank you, principals, for recognizing these outstanding teachers.
Yes, as Mr. Marissa was saying there, thank you so very much for what you do for our district and our children. We truly appreciate it. On to D, recognition of San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District Human Resources Department, the Texas Education Human Resources Day proclamation. Ms. Sandra Hernandez presenting. Dr. Rios will start it off while she gets into. No.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Ms. Garcia, if you could have your staff come forward, I'd appreciate it. President Overfelt, members of the board, October 10th was Texas Education Human Resource Day. I wanted to take just this opportunity to highlight some accomplishments by our HR department. They're almost behind the scenes, and we seldom see just how many teachers are hired, how many fingerprints, how many background checks, helping teachers get certified. We put together a small, probably 45-second presentation. If I could have Sandra Hernandez come forward and hit the play button, I would appreciate it. Sandra?
I don't know if this is it. Nope.
I think Peter's going to control it from the booth.
I think so. There it is.
Thank you, Peter, for putting together. To the HR department, I know that you seldom get to come out of your office. You're there making phone calls, helping teachers get certified, recruiting individuals. This last job fair that we had here in Del Rio, probably the first time I've ever seen anything like it, hiring 13 teachers, 87 altogether this season. That's just remarkable, the work that you all have done and how you've just transitioned to this building. So on behalf of the entire administration and the Board of Trustees, I'd like to thank you publicly, encourage you to continue to do the same work you've done, and just to let you know that very few things happen in this district without you all doing the work that you do. If I can, I'll take just a minute, Mr. Overfeld, to read the proclamation. State of Texas Office of the Governor, there is no doubt that one of the highest priorities and duties we have is to ensure young Texans receive the knowledge and skills required to build the lives out of their dreams and to fulfill their bright futures as the next leaders of our state and nation. Across the state of Texas, human resource professionals play an essential role in empowering our schools to fulfill this fundamental mission. By implementing effective practices for hiring quality staff to teach young Texans and expertly serving the needs of students, teachers, and administrators, which creates a healthy and safe learning environment. Human resource professionals help out our schools to be productive and healthy learning environments. At this time, I encourage all Texans to join me in recognizing all of our devoted human resources professionals for the vital role they play in our ever-developing educational system. Therefore, I, Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas, do hereby proclaim October 10th, 2017 to be Texas Education and Human Resource Day. Thank you, Ms. Garcia and the rest of the staff. Like I said, we know you're staying in your offices, but we know all the work that you do to make this thing happen. So thank you so much. Can you have them come forward, Ms. Garcia? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Very nice.
Yes, as was stated earlier, thank you so much for what you do there and going in and finding us individuals to teach our students. So college students in the back who are here for your exam or your classes and all that, those are the people you need to make friends with when you want a job in the district. You can tell that to the ones who left early as well. Yes, sir.
I wanted to, in a special way, recognize that a lot of the work that had been done prior to the start of the year was Dr. Patty McNamara. So I just want to say, Patty, thank you for all the work you've done for this department, because I know a lot of it is to your credit as well. Just wanted to recognize that.
Takes us to 5 citizens to be heard. Anyone this evening, Mr. Brown? Nope. 6, we will go into public hearings. We have A, overview of School First, the financial integrity rating system of Texas. Ms. Valdez presenting.
Good evening, Dr. Rios, President Overfelt, board members. This is the 2017 rating for the year ending August 31st, 2016 for School First, where we received the A Superior recognition. School First is the financial integrity rating system of Texas. Every district is required to provide a management report to the public that includes an overview of School First, the district rating presented by TEA, and allow for public comments. The public hearing meeting was published in the newspaper for 2 weeks, or on 2 occasions, which was October 8th and the 15th. I will read to you the indicators and the responses or the results for each indicator. Number 1, was the complete annual financial report and data submitted to TEA within 30 days of the January 28 deadline? And the answer is yes. We submitted the audit report on January 16 of 2017. Was there an unmodified opinion in the annual financial report on the financial statements as a whole? The answer is yes. The annual financial report was submitted with an unmodified opinion. 2B, did the external independent auditors report that the annual financial report was free of any instances of material weakness in the internal controls over financial reporting and compliance for local, state, and federal funds? The answer is yes. Belt Harris Pahachek, the district's external auditors, reported no material weaknesses in the 15-16 audit. Indicator number 3, was the school district in compliance with the payment terms of all debt agreements at fiscal year end? The answer is yes, the district did make all bond payments. Indicator number 4, did the school district make timely payments to TRS, Texas Workforce, and IRS, and any other government agencies? The answer is yes, the payments to the government agencies were paid in a timely manner. Indicator number 5, was the total unrestricted net asset balance in the governmental activities column in the statement of net assets greater than 0? The answer is yes, and this value is located on our Exhibit A1 report. Indicator number 6, was the number of days of cash on hand and current investments in the general fund for the school district sufficient to cover operating expenses? For this one, we received 10 points because our district had more than 90 days of cash on hand. Indicator number 7, was the measure of the current assets to current liabilities ratio for the school district sufficient to cover short-term debt? We did receive the full 10 points. We had a ratio of current assets to current liabilities of 5.0634. Indicator number 8, was the ratio of long-term liabilities to total assets for the school district sufficient to support long-term solvency? We received 10 points. The statement of net positions, total assets did exceed our total liabilities. Indicator number 9, did the school district's general fund revenues equal or exceed expenditures? If not, was the school district's number of days of cash greater than or equal to 60 days? We did receive 10 points. We did spend more than what we earned, but we did have a fund balance to offset that. Number 10, was the debt service coverage ratio sufficient to meet the required debt service? Again, on number 10, this is just for the ability to make all of your debt service payments, and the answer is yes, we received all 10 points. Indicator number 11, was the school district's administrative cost ratio equal to or less than the threshold? We received all 10 points. Our threshold is to be below the state limit of 0.1, and we're at 0.0915. Indicator number 12, did the school district not have a 15% decline in the student-to-teacher staff ratio over 3 years? We received 10 points. Our enrollment has only decreased by 156 when compared to 13-14, or 15-16 enrollment when compared to 13-14. Number 13, did the comparison of the PEIMS data to like information in the annual financial report result in a total variance of less than 3% of all expenditures by functional area? The audit report that we submitted and the audit report that was presented to the board had a variance of 0.00014. Really, it's rounding, so we did receive all 10 points. There is a very minimal variance. Indicator number 14, did the external independent auditor report that the external independent auditor report that the annual financial report was free of any instances of material weaknesses in internal controls over financial reporting and compliance for local, state, or federal funds? We received all 10 points. There were no material weaknesses. Indicator number 15, did the school district not receive an adjusted repayment schedule for more than one fiscal year for an over-allocation of foundation school program funds as a result of financial hardship? We received all 10 points. We do monitor our foundation school program funds based on our average daily attendance every 6 weeks. Our district earned 100 points, which provided us with a rating of A Superior. We have received this recognition every year since the first rating system has been in existence. On our financial transparency website, we will have the first report posted, which includes the superintendent's contract,
The reimbursements to the superintendent and the board of trustees, this is to cover travel expenses or any costs associated with two board members. We also are required to ask 2 questions, which the board members and superintendent answered. If there was any outside compensation received, or if there was any gifts of over 250 or more received. And then the other question that is required to answer is if any of the board members have any district's transactions, any transactions with the district. So again, that report, it will be available on our website, which has all of the information for the fiscal year ending 2016, which is for our first report. And just other information, I did include in there the note that we have received the highest rating possible since the beginning of the first program, and that our financial transparency website is also recognized by the State Comptroller of Public Accounts.
At this time in the hearing, are there any public comments on the first presentation? Any public comments on first? No, thank you.
And that is my presentation.
All righty. I don't know if there are any comments by anyone on the board as it relates to this evening. Mr. Mesa?
It's become a common agenda item, but we realize that it takes a lot of effort to earn this A rating. So I just want to say thank you to all the department. It comes up every year, but it is not a normal thing, that a district get a superior rating for the finances. And so I know the department does a lot of work, especially around budget time. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
So we will adjourn the public hearing. That'll take us into 7 board members' reports. I have one item A, the TASB convention, just kind of a summary of what occurred between October 6th through the 8th. October 6th through the 8th. TASB is the annual Texas Association of School Administrators and School Boards annual conference that it holds in different cities around the state, and there are different sessions and general sessions that are held throughout, and just a brief overview of some of the ones that were there in no particular order: district innovation, what to do after you've put the plan in place, beginning with the end in mind, and how to close the gap. Teamwork makes the dream work. Highly effective boards ultimately result in a high-achieving school district. So lots of different sessions for board members and administrators to go in and participate in and get new information about what's going on in the world of governance as it relates to the school district. The highlight, though, is the TASB delegate session there. And this year, Ms. Gonzalez was our delegate for that. I served as the alternate. And prior to the actual delegate session and convention that goes on, you meet with your regional representative, regional director, who for the last 3 years had been Mr. Mesa, had served as our Region 15 rep there, and was recently at this one re-elected to another 3 years to serve as our Region 15 representative for TASB. And there, that was the big highlight of the TASB delegate for San Felipe Del Rio, because of the large region that we sit in. There, Mr. Mesa overwhelmingly got support from not only this school district, but others around Region 15. So we are excited and thank him for the last 3 years, and definitely look forward to the next 3 with serving as our Region 15 representative. No, as board members, we get a monthly update that he helps compile from TASB there. At the delegate session itself, the guest speaker was Evan Smith, who is the co-founder of the Texas Tribune, and gave a talk on press and politics. And they're particularly in the legislative session and the special session. And they're a very interesting look into how media and politics in Texas are playing out and how both sides of the aisle are going in and dealing with education in the state. And it's a scary thing to look at and there for those of us who were there and listened to that in there. But I want to thank the board and administration who went, and again recognize and congratulate Mr. Mesa on being elected to another 3 years as our Region 15 rep, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. Yes. That takes us into 8 reports. Presentation by Estrada Hinojosa Financial Advisors on final pricing results related to the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bond Series 2017. David Gonzalez and Ms. Valdez.
Good evening, Mr. Board President, members of the board, Dr. Rios. For the record, my name is David Gonzalez with Estrada Hinojosa. We're financial advisors with the school district. I realize you have a pretty long agenda, so I'm just going to stick to the basic slides. If you all recall, back in June, we were here approving of parameters. Basically, the whole purpose of that was the school district had certain bonds that could be refinanced in the market to lower some of your interest payments. So we went ahead and got the bonds that were eligible to be refinanced to save the taxpayers some monies. We priced those bonds a little more than a month ago, and these are the results. If you jump, I'm going to jump over to page number 3, sources and uses. We were able to refinance roughly about $4,850,000 and generate $527,000 in premium. If you jump down to uses there, we have a cost of issuance of $111,347. If you look at the note on the bottom, cost of issuance includes attorney general fees, bond counsel fees and expenses, escrow agent fees, financial advisors fees and expenses, paying agents fees, rating agency fees, and verification agent fees. If you look at the next line item under cost of issuance, there you have the underwriter's discount. These are the underwriters that basically line up all of the investors to lend the money to San Felipe Del Rio to issue the new bonds. If there's any questions on any of these slides, please stop me and I'll answer anything. If you jump over to the next page, page number 4, here we have the school district's underlying rating. If you look with Moody's, the school district has a AA3, which is one of the highest bond ratings that any school district can have. So that says a lot about how the district has taken care of their finances over the years. If you look at the next, under that, we have Standard & Poor's of an A+, and that was upgraded in 2005, and the AA3 by Moody's was an upgrade in 2016. As you all are aware, typically whenever we sell bonds here in the state, we do what you call a PSF guarantee, where TEA insures your bonds. So if for whatever reason the school district at any time could not make any bond payment, TEA would come in and handle those payments. When you sell bonds like that have that TEA certification or that TEA guarantee, when you sell them in the open market, those bonds are automatically AAA, which is the highest rating that you can get. If you jump over to the next page, here we have the refunding summary. These were the 2007 bonds, par amount of $4,850,000. If you look in the middle there, in the blue section where you have net PV savings, you have a net present value savings of $527,817 to the taxpayers of San Felipe Del Rio ISD, and percentage savings of refunded bonds, you have 10.130%. Typically, we see savings of being 3 to 5%, and here you're basically 3 times what the industry minimum is to recommend moving forward. So that's very high savings. If you look at the next line item, their average annual savings, you're saving the taxpayers about $44,000 $831 on an annual basis. The next item, you have the average coupon of the refunded bonds. Basically, that's the average interest rate that you had on your old bonds. And by refinancing those old bonds, now you have a 2.9, which is right under that. So there was a lot of savings that the district was able to capture, and that you were able to save the taxpayers. If you look here on page number 6, if you look at the third column from the left, your existing coupons. You have a 3.9, 3.94%, all the way down to 4.2. By refinancing those 2007 bonds, you were able to lock in, if you jump all the way to the second column on the right, where you have current rates, those are the interest rates you were able to lock in on those bonds. That's where the savings came from. On this page, it's basically, we went over this on the last 2 slides. It's the same thing. It shows your savings, your total savings, $627,630, and your net present value savings of $527,000. We were here on June 19th. That's when the board approved to move forward with a parameters order. We priced the bonds August 9th, and we closed on September the 7th. And then the rest of this is just documentation from the rating agencies, from TEA, and from some of the other agencies that guarantee your bonds and were part of this transaction. I'm going to go through it because there's a lot of information there, but if I think you all have a hard copy, it's a good read if you all have time. It gives a lot of detailed information, specifics about the financial wealth of the school district in the eyes of the rating agencies. So again, this is not an action item, it's just an informative presentation, and with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Any questions from anyone on the board regarding this particular item? No? Appreciate it, sir.
Okay, thank you all very much.
8B, attendance and discipline report. The first 6 weeks, Dr. Garza.
This presentation was included in your packet. We are ready to make the presentation. We showed a slight increase this 6 weeks in attendance, a very slight increase as compared to last year for the first 6 weeks. Unfortunately, a lot had to do with the heavy rains that we had this entire week, but what's the wishes of the board?
I'd like to see just the attendance at least.
Okay.
There, just so we can publicly look at that. I know that's a big part of the zero absence push that we do. And then if anyone else has any other questions. And of course I should be looking at my book. There we go.
If you don't mind.
There we go.
Mr. Overfelt.
I'm sorry?
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm sorry.
Mr. Overfelt.
Go ahead.
Dr. Underwood.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Any questions that you might have, or do I do the presentation?
Yeah, go ahead and just do the attendance part.
Okay. On the
Overview.
attendance, as you can see there, Lonnie Green was number 1 this past year, and this past 6 weeks. They had 98.22, but of course North Heights also had 98.22. But we went to the 4th or 5th decimal, and Lonnie Green actually beat them by 0.0010. So they were number 1 for the 6 weeks. And then it goes down the line all the way through the last campus being Del Rio High School, Del Rio Freshman, blended, and early college high school together. This is a comparison by the years. The last 2 columns are last year's scores, and then this year's. And actually the one that we really want to see is this one here, which is the comparison between 2016, 2017, and 2017 and 2018. As you can see there, the reason that we combine those 4 schools is because now there are satellites from the high school, so when we group them by themselves, you do have the score there, but it's only fitting if we get them all together, since there's high school kids all over the place. There is some gains, the district gained 0.09. Just another thing that I want to discuss too. Today we had our first matinee, our first movie, and Lonnie Green was here today. They had 586 students that had perfect attendance this past 6 weeks. The auditorium was full. It was a great, great presentation. Also, I want to say that from last year to the previous year to 2017, the reason we have these matinees is because it's a great incentive. We had an increase of 277 students that had perfect attendance from the previous year. So that's why we keep doing these things. Are there any questions?
Yes, sir. Ms. Martinez, I'm going to start with you.
Thank you. Just a question. I know that you grouped the high school, the freshman campus, blended, and early college high school, and you do have a breakout there, but you don't include the early college high school in the breakout. Maybe that's just an oversight. I mean, if you can add that would be helpful.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yes, I do see what you're saying. Just as reference, the early college high school is about 98%. They're scoring about 98% for the 6 weeks, by daily, too.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can you go back one more? Okay, that one. And, there we go, that one. I just want to say good job to blended for, even though it was slight, it came up, so good job there. And then very good job at Irene Cardwell. Cardwell coming up almost a full point. They're over last year, so Ms. Adams, where are you at? Oh, there. Good job, Al. And of course, everyone else that's just keeping it in the 97s or higher, all of our elementaries. Good job. We appreciate that. Freshmen came up as well, so good job there. We appreciate y'all getting the students there to learn, because that's the big key. Anyone else on attendance? Does anyone have questions on discipline? Ms. Lozano?
I don't have a specific question about the charts, but I do have a question because it's tied to one of the things that they record for as a violation. It's a violation cell phone policy. How is that going at the high school?
I didn't understand the question now. What in particular are you asking?
The violation for the cell phone use?
Oh, yes. I know how it's going, but I think Dr. Bettis can answer that question.
I have a specific question about how students come and pick up their cell phones that have been confiscated. Do they do that during school time?
Yes, ma'am. The parents can come during school time.
And the students wait for it?
The students don't get the cell phones, so what I've seen is parents get the phone, and then sometime later during the day, I have actually seen a student say, "I got my cell phone, thank you." Okay. But after the 3 days, we only give the parent the phone.
Because I've heard students actually wait in the office area to get their phones back, actually missing class. Is there any truth to that?
I have seen some students want to argue to get their phone back, but we of course say, no, we have to give it back to your parents. You need to go back to class. And so I haven't seen that much, maybe 1 or 2 students in the past 7-8 weeks, where they may have gotten a little, I guess, not aggressive, but stubborn about getting it back.
All right, thank you. I just don't think it's appropriate for them to miss class for wanting to get their phone back. It should be managed either before school or after school.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mesa?
Mr. Garza, my question has to do with Del Rio Middle School. I hear a lot of chatter from the community in regards to the first 6 weeks at Del Rio Middle School. It is not representative of the chart that we have here, but there's been some serious things that have happened at Del Rio Middle School. Now, I don't understand certain things from the chart, For example, the number of students in Blended Academy, you have something like 1,500 or 1,550. Well, we don't have 1,550 students at Blended Academy.
Okay,
At
so-
Del Rio Middle School, we have same thing.
Right. And I apologize for that. That was my mistake. The 1550 is really at the middle school. I did not change the 1550 at Blended. It's going to be about 130 students there at Blended.
Yeah, there's been some serious incidents that have been brought to my attention, and this is the first 6 weeks, which should be the minimal, incidents in regard to the start of school. There's got to be early control of discipline at Del Rio Middle School. I don't know how serious this incidents have been. I have not been made aware of serious incidents in regard to fractures from students being thrown down the stairs. But that's what I was told by a law enforcement officer. And it was not reported as that. So, are those things happening?
I'll answer that. Mr. Mesa, there was, first of all, the incidences that have occurred at Del Rio Middle School. Anytime there is an ambulance and law enforcement agency called, each board member has received an update. The particular incident that you're talking about in regards to the stairs was reported by me to each board member. And it was as I reported on the phone. There wasn't any incidents of somebody being thrown down. Our chief of police is here. He can't get into specifics, but he can verify that it wasn't anyone thrown down. So unfortunately, whoever conveyed the message to you was wrong. I would encourage you to visit with Chief Maldonado during break, and that way he can answer specific questions related to that incident and not for public consumption. But unfortunately, I don't know where your information came from, but it was wrong. It was as I reported it to y'all when it happened, and I would encourage you to visit with Chief Maldonado at break.
Okay. All I'm requesting is accurate information that is presented to me. I don't know how it was, again, arrived at someone that was pushed down the stairs, and as a result of that, had a fracture. But I hope that the reporting that is done on this chart is accurate. And that's all I'm asking for. But it's serious that it's happening at the beginning of the school year. So there needs to be tight control and discipline, especially with that many students.
Yes, sir.
But I will visit with Chief Maldonado. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
C, Facilities and Construction Report. Les?
Can I just make one comment, Mr. Overfelt?
On the item we just finished?
Well, it was on attendance, really. It was
Okay. Yes, sir.
Dr. Garza mentioned in his presentation that in the 2016-2017 school year, there was approximately 250 more students with perfect attendance. He's talking year-long perfect attendance. So the number of kids that increased perfect attendance 6 weeks to 6 weeks is entirely significant. Later on, Ms. Gomez is going to share a little bit of data on academic achievement. So I just didn't want to miss the opportunity to say 250 students more with perfect attendance is a huge number. And we've instructed our principals that their focus going forward needs to be attendance and instruction. And I want to commend everybody from the attendance clerks on the campuses to the teachers that did the reporting to the principals that led that charge. That is a wonderful improvement. And just seeing that this year at Dr. Lonnie Green, because that was the first group we had today, there was close to 600 students in this auditorium today. It only seats 630. So it was almost at capacity. The students knew why they were here, and they're encouraged to do the same. So I just want to report that we continue to make progress. And hopefully there's still better news to come the coming 6 weeks. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Mr. Salama.
And I just happened to be up here while that matinee was going on and peeked in from upstairs, and it was packed. That was a lot of elementary students.
May I just make a comment?
Yes, ma'am.
I think the program of recognizing our students for perfect attendance is phenomenal. I again want to challenge the administration to actually consider long-term as a wonderful incentive for 12 years of perfect attendance. I think we had talked some time ago about an idea about maybe getting community involvement or perhaps the foundation to do a car for students who have perfect attendance the entire 12 years of school.
Yes,
Just a challenge out there for you.
We will look for multiple sponsorships to do that. Dr. Garza?
You get working on it.
Working.
I'm sorry.
Now we're ready
if
for
they're excited about a matinee, can you imagine the vehicle?
now we're ready for construction.
Good evening, President Overfelt, Dr. Rios, members of the board. Tonight's facilities and construction report, we'll be looking at new construction projects, district painting project, campus repairs, and a brief technology update. Currently, we have the Laughlin Base School that is moving forward. We've been able to meet our goals, and we're moving forward with the RFCP tomorrow on the general contractor. That's a request for competitive proposal. Those bids will open tomorrow, and then contracts will be awarded on 11/1 with subcontractors to follow for that project. Palomar is at the process right now of building our buildings finally, so we are making some headway on their finalized drawings. Did go over to them this last week. The energy savings contract, the contract was sent to our attorney for review on September 23rd. We did have, our attorney did have some proposed revisions. One that included a cost per square foot, as well as our ownership over the documents, regardless how we proceed with that. And of course, we wanted to make sure that we were allowed to have a third-party engineer review the audit documents once it was completed. Revisions were completed on October 10th. Revisions were approved by Schneider Electric on October 12th. And we are ready to proceed with signature if there's no questions on that tonight. We do also have a couple representatives from Schneider Electric here as well if you do have any other questions before we proceed with that. Last month's board meeting was the approval to negotiate the contract. Now we're ready to move forward on the signature. And then the scheduled audit will, right now it's listed as to be determined, but they are eager to move forward with doing data collection to find out where those savings can be captured throughout the district. Ruben Chavita has been completed on its external paint job. This is a photo here of the contractors out power washing everything prior to painting, and that's what it looks like now. So all the exterior has been done at this point for that campus as well as Garfield. And we are looking at campus repairs. This is was our mechanical room at Del Rio High School. There were several things wired into a 480 volt electrical panel that should never have happened. So we did go in and make corrections using our internal staff, and that's what it looks like now. Much safer at this point. Eventually the system will be getting phased out and replaced, but for now we're just doing what we can to make the facility safer. And personal favorite of mine is the nurses station at the high school. We found several opportunities. There's been conversation in the past about expanding that area. So as we decided to go through, we've made a cut in the wall there, opening up the existing nurses station with what used to be the counselor side. And we replaced all the lighting in there with LED lighting, as well as a fresh coat of paint everywhere, covered the paneling, had the floor stripped and waxed, made some more changes to some of the electrical outlets. There's the lights being replaced. And this is what it looked like on Friday, and Kiki's already moved in. So we are now starting the next phase of this, which is giving the old side a facelift as well. And at that point, we're going through a HIPAA compliancy checklist to make sure all the files and folders are secured in those areas, medicines are being locked up. And more importantly, our staff will be able to give the attention to the students that they need when they come through. And situations where they are sick, now they'll have privacy. In the past, the privacy was definitely an issue. This renovation here will give a new room for the ReadyMD machine for staff to go in and utilize that service. And then there'll also be 2 patient rooms that they can, give adequate care to. So we're really excited about this. And again, all of it's been done with our internal staff. I will have some more pictures at the next meeting to show what the patient rooms look like, but we're all really excited about it. And then technology update, Channel 39 is finally complete. We've been upgraded, sound and audio, or sound and video is working great. And right now we're actually pushing a signal faster than what Spectrum can take. So if they ever decide to upgrade, we're still okay with the equipment that we have. So I apologize that took so long, but it took every bit of 3 years.
Better late than never.
Questions?
Thank you. Any questions on any of the facilities and construction update this evening? No. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The health insurance update, Ms. Laura English.
Good evening, Mr. Overfeld, Dr. Rios, members of the board. We have the first health insurance update of the school year. We started the open enrollment on October 16th, and that included also employee benefit sessions with all the staff. We started holding sessions in September for Spanish speakers. And then on October 17th, we started the different sessions that the different campuses have started. We will be holding them all through November 2nd, and I believe we've added 2 sessions on November 9th and November 14th. We will continue with the insurance committee meetings. The insurance committee meetings will be on a bi-monthly basis. So far, 30 of the 50 members who served last year have committed to continue serving during the 2017-2018 school year, and we are currently in the recruitment process. We did receive notification from different principals today of new members, and we're almost done completing the whole membership. The next committee meeting will be on November 14th. And here are listed the meetings for the rest of the year. The wellness events, we started, our first event was on September 12th, which was our annual health fair. And we had the 3D mammograms event that we held for 3 days. During the mammogram event, we had over 100 participants. I do not have the exact number at the moment, but we did have, all our capacity was full. We took advantage of every single minute. So we had a very, very good response. Our health fair, we had 97 attendees, which increased about 30% of our attendance last year. Our annual flu shot clinics, we started on October 2nd, and so far we've had 317 employees take advantage of this service. We are still holding the sessions. We're not done with our clinics. We had our breast cancer awareness event, and we had 31 participants that day. It was a very rainy day, so we had to alter our activities, but we still had a very good participation. We had also, I do not have it listed here, but we had the hydrocephalus event. We had a pediatrician from Valverde Regional come in, and we had a wonderful, wonderful event. The next event that we have will be the diabetes awareness event, and Itopia will be holding pre-diabetes vision screenings. They'll be here that day, and in addition to that, we'll have a TML representative do claim lookups that day. And we're starting to get calls already for people that want to set up appointments for the vision screenings. And these are the rest of the sessions that we're planning throughout the school year.
Throughout the 16-17 school year, where we focused on establishing our insurance committee and educating the employees on our self-funded plan, we continue to request information to identify opportunities in order to, and one of those would be to have our claims information audited. We did obtain a report from TML that had any claims that were over 25,000. So as you can see, from 14-15 and 15-16, the sum of the claims paid was close to $1 million. But from 16-17, but then in 16-17, the number of claims that exceeded 25,000 went up to 322 from 47, and the amount that we paid out doubled. So again, there's a lot of information that we could obtain there that can help us with identifying any strategies to drive down our claims activity, and use that information to build our wellness program. We have, over the year, I have requested more information, but actual information from our current consultant, and I haven't seen guidance in the area of them providing us an analysis on our claims activity. So we would like to go out for an RFQ to obtain a consultant that can provide us an audit on our claims activity. Are there any questions?
Any questions from members of the board?
I want to just, the PowerPoint presentation, can you hear me?
Yes,
the
ma'am.
PowerPoint presentation you're making that you're presenting at the schools, you mentioned they're going to put it on the school district website?
Yes.
So people can be looking at it. Is that going to be in English and Spanish, or just English?
It's only in English.
Okay. But it will be up there.
Yes.
Okay. And as far as the people that are in the insurance committee, they're supposed to report to their schools about what's happening at those committees, right?
That is correct.
The meetings.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Let's hope that happens, because it hasn't been happening. Thank you.
So, Mr. Renfro, if I may, we're going to do a better job this year ourselves and send an update to all users so that even if the committee member was not to come back and provide, at least they have the information, they can have discussions. And we'll definitely find a way to provide it in English and Spanish, and to the to the employees who don't have access to email or don't regularly access that. So after every committee meeting, we'll be sending an update.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate y'all encouraging us to do that.
Just a quick comment when you were showing the stuff that had been done in the district so far. You had the flu shot clinic the 2nd through the 13th. Did that occur at every campus?
Yes, sir. It is still occurring. The flu shot clinics, we're not done with them. They're still going to all the campuses.
Okay. Thank you. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
I do have one
Oh,
other question.
sorry,
Sorry,
never
Mr.
mind.
Overfelt. No, just because I saw it again. On November 15th, what is the reference to EHBK legal?
It is a new event that we'll be holding, and then it's a policy. It refers to a policy, which is,
All right.
required by policy now to hold that event.
Oh, it's required?
Yes.
They don't require any other? Only lung cancer is important?
No, the one that I did not list here, the hydrocephalus, that is also a requirement. Those two are required. The rest are not required, but we hold them.
That's interesting with Target.
Sandra,
Those two.
as Sandra was reviewing policies, she sent it to us. We hadn't seen it before, so I sent it to Laura. I'm like, make sure you have it in your calendar. We hadn't seen it, but that event that we had last month was very interesting, and it was all from having that board policy come up.
Well, good. I'm glad we're doing it since we're supposed to. Another question that just popped up. Thank you for looking into an opportunity for an RFQ, because those figures are pretty interesting. The jump is pretty significant. So keep us posted.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mentoring program for new teachers, Masaida Gomez.
Good evening, President Overfelt, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Tonight, Mrs. Garcia and myself will be providing you with an update on our mentoring program for the new teachers that have been hired in our district. First of all, San Felipe Del Rio CISD Human Resources Department, in conjunction with the C&I Department, our Curriculum and Instruction Department, is committed to providing all first-year teachers with trained and experienced mentors to guide and support them as they begin their first teaching year. The purpose of the Novice Teacher Support System mentoring program is to provide mentors who have the knowledge, resources, and skills to facilitate the professional growth that our new teachers need. A first-year teacher is classified as a teacher that was hired in January of 2017 to present and has no prior teaching experience. A mentor for this program is a teacher with 3 or more years of experience who is assigned to work with that mentor. I do want to note at this point that in the past, our department heads have been tasked with mentoring all new teachers at their campus. So this is a new program where principals did work to recruit actual mentors who could give the time and commitment that's needed to our novice teachers. It comes up later. Research suggests that the attrition rate in Texas for novice teachers without a strong mentor is as high as 32%. Teachers without a strong mentoring system will leave the teaching profession within 5 years. A strong mentoring program that combines campus-based and district-level support is the most effective method by which San Felipe Del Rio CISD can reduce teacher attrition and improve student achievement. The Curriculum and Instruction Department will work collaboratively with campus administration to ensure the success of the Novice Teacher Support System. Continuous staff development will be provided to all district teachers who are participating in our mentoring program throughout the school year. This year, Human Resources hired 83 teachers, new staff. Out of those, 53 are novice teachers, 0 experience since January. So we have 27 elementary teachers who fit in that category, and we have 26 secondary teachers who fit in that category, making it a total of 53. Each mentor will receive a $250 stipend to be paid at the end of each semester for each mentee that they support or that they mentor. We do have a couple of mentors who are having to mentor 2 teachers at their campus. This is being funded with our EEIP grant. The next 2 slides are very small, but it's just to show you that we do divide them by campus, by mentor, by teacher, and by grade. And the reason that we do this is because it's been a very collaborative effort. We've had support from Dr. Aguirre, from the CNI department, Mrs. Salas, all the coordinators, Mrs. Garcia. Everybody who's going out to the campuses is supporting this initiative. Therefore, it's important for them to know when they visit a school how many new novice teachers are at that campus. This year, the collaborative team also developed a mentoring handbook. We simplified what we had in the past because after meeting with different groups, it was just a lot of paperwork. We were spending more time on paperwork than actual planning and mentoring. So we simplified the process, but we made it a lot more focused. You'll see here that we have a mentoring timeline. You'll see that Human Resources provided us with a list. Then the principals went out and recruited an appropriate and qualified mentor. Then we had training for those mentors. If somebody didn't show up, we had a backup. We did have a makeup training so that every mentor did get trained. We will have our 3 seminar sessions. The first one is scheduled for tomorrow. We're very excited. That gives us time for the mentor and the mentee to come together and do some team building activities. Then we also have some surveys, and I will be sharing the first survey results with you in just a moment. And then you'll see that the paperwork, the final paperwork, all has to be completed and turned in to Human Resources at the end of the year. The mentor training that I was referring to, where just the mentors came in, it referred to the handbook. The handbook not only had all the responsibilities that they were responsible for by day, by 6 weeks, by month, but it also asked them, are you a willing participant? So they did have to sign stating that this is something they were interested in doing and something that they were committed to do. You'll see that the following slides talk about the mentor qualifications and requirements. You'll see that a mentor had to have 3 years of successful teaching experiences, a willingness to mentor their teacher or the person that they're working with. They're having to be willing to model or have the mentor come into their classroom to observe. Demonstrate ongoing professional learning and reflective teaching and learning practices. It had to be someone who was proficient in classroom management, organizational skills, lesson planning and implementation, and student assessments. Willing to communicate regularly with the mentee and administrator to facilitate ongoing support. Positive, caring, and supportive attitude. They had to have participated in the mentorship training. They had to meet with the mentee on a required number of support meetings throughout the school year. They also had to commit to meeting with the principal, the mentor coordinator at least twice a year. And then, as stated earlier, they had to sign off that they understand fully that participation in the SFDR CISD mentoring program may be terminated without remuneration at any time if they did not fulfill the requirements of the program. The next slide is just the first month. You'll see there, we prepared one of these for every month of the year, and you'll see there, for instance, it starts with August. And some of the things that they were required to help with, classroom setup, a behavior management plan, back to school activities, a student packet, daily schedules, campus committees, power hour, power block, lunch duty schedules, campus attendance procedures, planning protocol sessions, substitute folder, emergency drill. We literally sat, I think this book went back maybe a dozen times for a second review and a third review and a fourth review to say, what else is it that you have to do as a teacher to prepare? And it just kept getting updated. So the end result is a very thorough detail of everything that has to be done. The simplified version that I was referring to is on the right side of the page. You'll see that you have mentor initials, mentee initials, and the date. That documentation at the end of the year for each one of those has to be turned into human resources. I've heard back from mentees that have told me, I would have forgotten had you not written it down. So it is a very detailed process. You'll also see that some of these processes are repeated from month to month, because just because we taught somebody how to do progress reports the first 6 weeks, that was a one-time shot. So guess what? You need to sit with me the second and the third and possibly the fourth until I get it down. So it is repetitive in nature. We did do a survey monkey with 10 questions after the first 6 weeks to make sure that all those components were addressed. And I'm going to share the results with you. It is 10 questions, so we have placed 1 question per slide. You'll see the first one. Now, we do have 53 teachers. At this time, only 29 have responded. I really don't have a way of knowing which 29, so we have asked the principals to assist us and just some friendly reminders. And we're hoping to get more of a response because we do plan to do this each 6 weeks. But the first one asks, the mentor assigned to me has the experience to support me in my first year of teaching. And you'll see that the answer choices are strongly agree, agree, disagree, or strongly disagree. And 25 of the participants out of the 29 strongly agreed or agreed. Question 2, my mentor has communicated campus routines and procedures to help in making the first few weeks of school manageable. Again, 26 agreed or strongly agreed. My mentor has reviewed the curriculum documents available for my teaching assignment and how they are utilized during planning protocol. 23 agreed. We have my mentor is available to me for collaboration to help me plan effectively for instruction. 27 agreed or strongly agreed. I have discussed effective classroom practices, routines, or procedures to maximize instructional time with my mentor. 27 agreed or strongly agreed. I have received training for the teacher appraisal system, T-TESS. 28 out of the 29 had received it, and we do have another makeup session on November 1st and 2nd. My mentor and I have a positive professional relationship that fosters a process for my professional growth as an educator. 28 of the respondents agreed or strongly agreed. And finally, I guess it's number 8. The new teacher training provided an informative overview of our district's initiatives. 28 strongly agreed or agreed. And the last question, if applicable, I have been adequately trained to implement Power Hour or Power Block, which are 2 intervention systems that are done during the day. And we had 21 of the respondents strongly agree or agree. We hope to do these surveys at the end of every grading period, changing it depending on the responsibilities that were required during that time period. We're excited because tomorrow afternoon is our first seminar with teachers and mentees. It'll be held here in the SBC Center. This is the flyer that did go out to the teachers and their mentors. Dr. Rios will be our guest speaker tomorrow. we do have a team building activity, and then we do have some cake to celebrate that they're with us and they have been successful through this, these first few weeks as mentors and mentees. Are there any questions?
I noticed that the question regarding the power hour.
Yes,
as
ma'am.
the most disagreed. Is there any way to go back to, I mean, I'm sure you don't know who responded, right?
Yes, ma'am. We don't know who responded, but we've already had conversations. At this point, I'm not sure if it's power hour or power block because we grouped it together.
Okay.
So we're already thinking maybe for the next one to separate elementary and secondary because it is two different initiatives, and hopefully that'll guide us. But questions like that one just help us when we meet as coordinators to say, okay, we need to go back. We need to make sure that we're providing support to every new teacher.
Thank you.
Another point, unfortunately, because we grouped elementary and secondary and writing these type of surveys, although the questions are excellent, any secondary teacher who doesn't participate in Power Block would say no. So asking more detailed questions, what's your assignment, and have a does not apply would further help us isolate that. I did want to point out a couple things. I think that in my review of the project that they put together, it's very detailed. Not only does it provide a whole lot of guidance to the mentors and the mentees so that they know what to expect, there's very appropriate ways of following up that the mentor is committed to volunteering and doing what they're doing. And then the survey at the end is just an added touch. You know, we have to get better at doing surveys, but I think the whole process that CNI and HR put together is locally developed and just a entire commitment to new teachers. So I want to commend y'all for doing it. I also want to thank Mr. Mesa because I know that he had to be a little patient with us, but I know that he kept pushing for this. And I told you it was in works, but you can see how much work was actually involved in doing this. So we couldn't just turn it over in the transition from one program to the other. But we've done it, and y'all have done a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rios.
I just want to say that I'm glad to see the revival of the mentoring program. I see substitute folder, for example, and it makes such a difference to have that in place because we hire substitutes at a very high expense throughout the year, but we want for them to do their job, and the only way to do that is to follow the lesson plan that is left behind. So that in itself, but I think, you know, the first year is critical. That teacher is going to decide whether they like teaching or not. And most of the time it's discipline that they don't establish routines and procedures. And so that experienced teacher makes it a lot easier for that first year. So I just want to say I'm glad that we have it again.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, administration, and thank you, everyone that was involved for putting this together.
Thank you, Mr. Mesa.
Thank you all. Item F, District of Innovation, Ms. Sandra Hernandez.
Let's hope that pops up. There you go. Good evening, Dr. Rios, Mr. Overfelt, and members of the board. This evening, I'm providing you with an informational presentation on the District of Innovation. The District of Innovation is a concept that was passed by the 84th Legislature, House Bill 1842, which provides opportunities for school districts to be afforded the flexibilities that are typically offered to charter schools. It's in its third year, beginning its third year, And there are several reasons why the District of Innovation is a very popular choice among school districts in Texas. Some of the benefits are customization. So districts can develop districts of innovation plans which exercise larger control over decisions impacting instructional models for students. It leads to increased flexibility with regards to state accountability and mandates, and develops innovative approaches to teaching and learning. And what a district of innovation does is what our district is doing is asking for an exemption to a state policy. There is autonomy. Districts must submit a district of innovation plan to the Commissioner of Education, but approval from the Commissioner is not required. Some of the flexibilities that districts have in requesting exemptions, they could implement practices similar to charter schools, such as the school start date, which is a very popular choice among school districts of innovation. Educator certification, teacher contracts, and teacher appraisal requirements. And these are just some choices. Here's a specific example to consider. Most districts, if not all districts, have selected the exemptions under Chapter 25. Now, there are 3 specific statutes under this Chapter 25. One covers the minutes of instruction, the other the first day of instruction, and the other the last day of instruction. What most districts choose is to have the flexibility of the first day of instruction, because our first day of instruction is typically on that, not before the 4th Monday in August, the 4th week of August. So it provides some parameters that if we have a district of innovation, it will allow the flexibility for you to choose when your start school date would be. And you would have also, looking into your calendar, some flexibilities of the times that you would involved within your first semester and second semester. So it will create a balance. So most districts have chosen this process, or this particular exemption rather. So what is the process? For districts who choose to ask for an exemption, the board would have to approve a resolution. There would also be a public hearing by the school board. The board appoints a committee during that meeting to develop the District of Innovation Plan. The District of Innovation Plan is posted online for 30 days. And then the board notifies the commissioner of their intention to vote on a proposed plan. The DOI Advisory Committee will hold a public meeting and must pass the plan by a majority vote. And then finally, the school board approves the final vote or final plan by 2/3 majority. Now, this is the process. And one of the most frequently asked questions is, how many school districts have taken advantage of the opportunity for an exemption? Well, here's a report that was released by the Texas Education Agency in March, and 198 of the school districts across Texas have chosen to be a DOI, District of Innovation. And the number of regions that were impacted are all 20. So all 20 regions have been impacted. Number of statutes that are exempted, 84. So each district has chosen to customize a rule, an exemption that is custom to their district, what their district would want to have. In your packet, you have a sample of a timeline or proposed timeline if the board would choose to move in the direction of a District of Innovation plan. And it would begin in November if the board wishes to move forward for consideration of the DOI plan under House Bill 1842. And then we would move forward with the proposal of the timeline, the adoption of the timeline, the 30-day public wait time, and then the posting. This would have to be posted online for the public to see. And the committee, the board would choose the committee to be able to decide on what that plan would look like. And as I described before, the rest of the dates are the dates that would be placed, allowing for the time as in the steps provided by the Texas Education Agency. Are there any questions from the board?
Any questions from any board member? Go ahead.
Sandra, I know that most of the districts opted with that start date. They wanted to change the starting date. But there was something this year, I forget what it was, either a bill that was introduced that would do away with, it went back to the same date.
To the legislature, correct. At this point, most of the districts are, at this point, when we went to the TASB, as Mr. Overfelt mentioned, what do we do after the plan? The start date, again, one of the next steps, if the school district wishes to adopt the District of Innovation Plan, is to be able to meet with their consultant, with the TASB legal consultant, to change our district policy. At this point, the school start date is still up as a District of Innovation choice, but there is some talk with regard to an adjustment because it is such a popular decision for most school districts.
Right. My other question has to do with how in the world can you coordinate all the UAL activities, for example?
This is where the district committee comes into place, because when the district comes together, the committee would come in to take a look at your current calendar, to take a look at the date, and to be able to come together, organize a plan which would meet the requirements of the minutes, the dates, and allow those flexibilities. So at this point, the plan would be developed by the committee, and of course the board would recommend members. The board could participate as members of the committee as well, to be able to look at all of the facets that are involved in developing the calendar.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mesa, the short answer is UIL sets a calendar. By a certain day, you have to certify who moves on to state playoffs or when competitions are going to be held, whether it's at the regional level. Whatever District of Innovation plan you come up with has to conform to those calendar dates set by UIL. Sometimes you start competition before the school starts. For example, volleyball enters into competition before the first day of school. The District of Innovation plan cannot change other state activities. We have to abide by those calendars set by that state. So,
okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Overfeld, if I may, in closing, our purpose today is only to share with the board publicly that we intend to bring this before the board next month. Between now and then, if there's any considerations from any board member, and also to give you all the opportunity to think of individuals that you would recommend to be on the committee. We'll provide in this next board update, this next weekend, possible committee membership. Do you want to recommend one secondary, one elementary, and one community member? Do you just want to recommend one community member? We'll provide that information so that you all can give us some feedback, so that if you were to vote for us to move forward with a plan.
About in case questions arise there, because it is a completely different change in direction. And there are some things to consider this. So, very good. Ms. Lozano?
I just have one question. does the administration already have an idea of what they're looking for?
We have a couple of ideas, ma'am. The district has received a whole lot of feedback over the past 2 years about the start date. Because the district's renovation plan has been available to districts, other districts have moved on and started the school year early and balanced the semesters. So absolutely, the start date would be one of them. Another item that we are very interested in is to follow parts of the San Angelo ISD plan. San Angelo ISD, even though they are in the neighborhood of Angelo State, has a very hard time in filling science vacancies. Angelo State just doesn't graduate too many people with science degrees who want to come into the teaching profession. So they have linked certain degrees and science certifications to certain science courses. That allows them to hire a teacher with at least a science background, but maybe not a science composite. So they've helped themselves fill vacancies and still provide quality instruction. Those are the two things that we know that we want the committee to discuss. We want to share with them plans from other districts. But when the committee finally gets together, we'll show them examples of other districts that have submitted plans so that they have just a broad understanding of how much locally they can decide. And in the trainings that I've been to here recently, there is clearly a push on the state of Texas to deregulate education, to give more local control. And we'd like to take as much advantage as the board would like to have on that.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
That takes us to non-consent agenda. Are there any items that any board member wishes to pull or have an answer or a question answered before I ask for a recommendation on that?
I have a couple, sir.
Go ahead.
I'd like to clarify item F4. I'm not pulling it. I just want to be very transparent on it. And even though it's listed here, I would like to just clarify that when we got together to talk about committed funds, we asked the board to commit money for 3 school activity buses. The amount of the activity buses exceeds the amount that you allocated by approximately $30,000. When we went back and we asked for the whole packet, what is it that they're able to offer and what is it that we'd like to have, there was 2 particular items that the athletic department wanted to have and that I think that would also be nice to have, but it increased the cost by about $10,000 per bus. We had selected the buses with just some decals versus an entire bus wrap to represent Del Rio a little more. We had selected a bus that didn't have the sliding window sideways. It had it vertically, so it gives you a bigger angle when you open the windows. It was just a more comfortable bus. So it was approximately $10,000 more per bus. So we looked at the playoff budget that had enough money, and we're recommending that we purchase the bus with the money allocated plus $30,000 from the current playoff budget for a total of, Ms. Valdez, $570,000. Yes. And so I want to be clear on that. And then on item F7, we'd like to pull item F7 entirely and go back and revisit the procurement process.
So you'd like to table that till later?
Just item F7.
Okay.
Here lately, we've been in the practice of still collecting 3 bids and not necessarily going from by board. And we need to go back and make sure that that happens. So we're pulling that item.
Okay.
Yes, we do have to make sure that that happens.
Any other item off the consent, anyone? No. Going back to just something you said in the F4, there about athletics wanted this or that on the buses. When we had this conversation back in August about the activity buses, this was not going to be solely for athletics, that other things were going to be able to use this, such as UIL.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Because I want that to be, this is not just strictly for football or not strictly for basketball, that any of the non-sports activities will be able to use the buses as well.
Yes, and I have in advance, because it was Coach Smith who assisted us in the process, but I have communicated to him that at least for the UIL season, the buses are for exclusive use of UIL. The rest of the year, we'll negotiate who uses it at what time and make sure that it's fair for everyone. Unfortunately, we had even talked about having the UIL students be the ones to use the buses first, but they've informed us that it takes about 8 months for them to build the bus after you purchase it. So we'll look to get these buses sometime in June or July of this coming summer.
Okay. And as long as we maintain them and keep them from being destroyed on the inside. Please. Because it's a big investment. Okay, so administration is requesting that F7 be tabled until the next available board meeting. As of right now, I so move. Is there a second to table F7? Mr. Mesa. All in favor of tabling F7 until the November board meeting? 4 unanimous, thank you. That brings us back to the consent agenda. I motion to approve the consent agenda as amended. Is there a second? Ms. Martinez-Lozano, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you. At this point, we would do donations. Ms. Haynes is out, so I don't know if they left a list on her thing there. No? Okay, then I'm just going to go through this real quickly as best I can. Monetary donations, Board of Federal Credit Union, $500 to Dr. Fermin Calderon. Box tops for education, $261.40 to Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary. The Cross Country Booster Club, $1,285.20 to Del Rio High School Cross Country Boys and Girls. Tracks and snacks, $800 to Del Rio High School FCCLA. Football Booster Club, $2,727.20 to the Del Rio High School football team. Pizza Properties Incorporated, $257.42 to Garfield Elementary. Rapid Quality Service, $200 Del Rio Middle School Band. The Spot and Pro Shop, and the following amounts to the following organizations: $350 to Buena Vista Elementary Student Council, $309 Dr. Fermin Calderon Elementary Student Council, $200 Lamar Elementary Student Council, $125 Lamar Elementary Student Council, $200 Ruben Chavita Elementary. Non-monetary donations: GM Construction, 2 bicycles valued at $120 to Irene Cardwell Elementary. Deanna Gonzalez, 2 Ram cards valued at $20 to Irene Cardwell Elementary. The Mighty Ram Booster Club, student lodging expenses in the value of $4,651.29 to the Del Rio High School Band. Gaddy's Pizza and Microwave in the value of $70 to Del Rio Middle School. Adelia Arredondo Cement Slab Bench Plaque in the value of $1,061 to Lamar Elementary. Etna, 2 $25 chili gift cards, 1 $25 Starbucks gift card, 2 water bottles at $12.50 each, for a total estimated value of $100 for the Health Awareness Fair. Board of Federal Credit Union, 1 Visa gift card valued at $25 to Health and Wellness Fair. Until stated, these are all for health and wellness. HEB gift basket valued at $50. IBC Cripple Creek gift certificate valued at $30. Methodist Air Care gift basket valued at $40. Money Concepts Gym Pass valued at $50. New Sound Hearing, 1 Visa gift card valued at $25. Rev Cycling Studio, 2 certificates for classes valued at $76. Texas Community Bank, 2 plants, total value of $40. TML, IEB, Rudy's, and HEB gift card valued at $25 each for a value of $50. Valverde Regional Medical Center tote bag valued at $15. The First United Methodist Church, 20 bags of food valued at $200 to Garfield Elementary. Gaddy's Pizza, 0 absence day pizzas valued at $1,043.90 to Ruben Chavita Elementary. As always, we thank all of our community members and those who donated. Thank you. That takes us to 10 administration. It is now 8:08. Does the board wish to take a recess or continue plowing through? At this time, I motion for a 5-minute recess, seconded by Ms. Lozano. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. We're in recess for about the next 5 minutes. It's 8:18 p.m. October 23rd, 2017. The board will reconvene after that short recess. On to 10 administration, consideration to approve the superintendent evaluation instrument and performance goals for the 2017-18 school year. Presenting at your place setting is the proposed 2017-18 evaluation instrument. Every year the board goes through this. It's intended to be somewhat of a living document, changing as needed to what is going on in the district. And are there any questions on anything listed in the instrument that I guess can be publicly talked about? Yeah,
I think it can all be publicly talked about, Mr. Orfeld. I'll just say that we shared this with the board some time back and asked for input. Mr. Mesa provided some input, and I hope it was incorporated to his liking. And Ms. Lozano provided some input. I regret that it took me a long time to get to that email, but today I asked Sandra to make some changes to the document, and we provided you all a fresh document, but we can continue to change it. The other thing I would just mention to the board is that I know the document is here in front of us. In the past, the board has requested some changes after it's been adopted, and I would just share with you all that most of the time it's all doable. But I would say that, man, once we get into November, December, it's kind of late. So if there's anything that y'all didn't get a chance to look at, as long as it's nothing impossible to monitor or accomplish, I'm always open to having those discussions.
Ms. Lozano?
I just have a couple comments. It's been a while since I actually reviewed this, so I don't really recall all the things that I had identified or suggested that we add. But I do remember one was more of teacher, meeting with teachers. I don't know if that was added or incorporated somehow. Or
Yes, you suggested that in addition or in lieu of the Teachers Communication Council, that I have coffees at campuses once per quarter to hear directly from all of the teachers. I've already started the Communication Council with the teachers, but I'm not in any way opposed to implementing that as well. I think it's a process where we've made some very significant decisions when we get to meet on a monthly basis with teachers, ranging from things as big as technology to things as small as fixing leaks in playground areas. So I'd like to continue with that, but I'm not opposed to adding those quarterly meetings with the staff.
And I see also, Dr. Rios, that you added under Human Resources, page 13, the Human Resource Department will work with campus principals to develop a plan for improving climate at their respective campuses. I don't know if that's tied to the employee surveys I would venture to guess that's part of that.
It is.
So my thinking was that with meeting with teachers, that might make you a little more visible to them and maybe lend itself and help improve some of that, that survey feedback.
Absolutely.
And then also I noticed the way a lot of the evaluation instrument has it worded, it's almost as if this would be a department's evaluation, not necessarily yours. For example, on that same page 13, the Human Resource Department will do this. The Human Resource Department will do this. Well, it's not the Human Resource evaluation, it's yours. So maybe you will ensure that this gets done. That's just my suggestion for verbiage.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense.
Thank you.
Mr. Overfelt, under item, and we could put it in different places, but under item C, Human Resource Management, I'll add a bullet. Ms. Alonso, make sure you're taking notes. I'll add a bullet. The superintendent will participate in faculty meetings twice per semester.
Is it doable?
I think that's a good goal. I mean, are y'all gonna?
I don't know, so I hate to have you shoot yourself in the foot when I try
Well, how about we
slow, and then
if
you overachieve, and we'll call you an overachiever.
Okay. Well, how about if we just say once per semester? And I'll continue to do the coffees. I'm sorry, the Teacher Communication Council.
That's great. Thank you so much. I'm sure that's going to be appreciated by teachers.
Okay. Any other, excuse me, items on the evaluation instrument?
I see the ones I gave them, they're already there.
Okay. Ms. Gonzalez, anything? Okay. Then it's my recommendation to approve the superintendent evaluation instrument and performance goals for the 2017-18 school year as just recently amended. And I so move. Is there a second by Ms. Martinez-Lozano? Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
B, consideration to approve the first reading of local policy updates, DEC local, FNF local, DEAA local, DH local, CDA local. Ms. Sandra Hernandez.
Good evening once again, Mr. Overfelt, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. As a result of this month's review by the district's policy committee, we reviewed 5 policies, and each of these policies, the committee has made some recommendations on edits. At this time, I'm going to ask the board if there are any questions with regard to any of these policies, policy drafts.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
I'm especially concerned with DEC.
Yes, sir.
As far as I see it, especially with the retired teachers, it remains as we have established 45 days, half of their daily rate still continues.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Okay, so the rest is just wording.
Yes, there are some edits just to be aligned with policy.
Okay.
So that, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Recommendation, please.
Yes, sir. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of DEC local, FNF local, DEAA local, DH local, and CDA local, and approve the recommended revisions to the language as presented by the San Felipe Del Rio CISD Board Policy Committee.
For the recommendation, I so move. Is there a second? Ms. Gonzalez, all in favor? Unanimous, carries. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
11, curriculum and instruction. A, consideration to approve the district and campus performance objectives according to policy BQ local, legal and local. Dr. Garza and Ida Gomez.
Good evening, President Overfelt, Dr. Rios, and members of the board. Our district strives to remain focused on improving our instructional practices, building our teacher capacity, and improving student achievement. With that in mind, tonight we will be presenting our campus performance objectives. But first, I'd like to briefly share the PBMAS staging that came out on Friday evening. This is an overview of the 4 programs that are monitored under the performance-based monitoring system. For a comparison basis, you will see a 2016 and a 2017 comparison on your screen. The 4 areas, and I'll start with special education, career and technology, bilingual, and it was No Child Left Behind in 2016-17, which is now ESSA. You'll see every Student Succeeds Act in place of the No Child Left Behind. The PBMAS monitoring system is a 0 to 4 rating. A 0 would be a perfect situation. It's a complex formula that compares performance from one year to the next in these programs. You will see, and we're very proud, that our special education was at a stage 1 and remained at a stage 1. We have worked very hard, the director of that department, all the diagnosticians, the teachers, the co-teachers, and recently we began a think tank for our special ed department so that we can kind of come up with ideas and strategies. How does a student with disabilities learn? Since that time, we have met with elementary special ed teachers and secondary special ed teachers. We have met with both principals. We have met with the diagnosticians, and this week we have meetings with the elementary parents of our special ed students and our secondary parents with special ed students, 2 different meetings. So congratulations to our special ed department and all their hard work. Our career and technology went from a stage 2 to a stage 1. That is an improvement. Again, it compares performance from one year to the next, and they were able to lower their rating in just 1 year. We have our No Child Left Behind that was at a stage 1. Now it is at a stage 2. Next month, I will be presenting a more detailed synopsis of why this is taking place, why we went from a stage 1 to a stage 2, when I present the plan of action, just like every year when we have to present the plan of action that has to be submitted to TEA. On that note, though, I would like to point out that in 2012, our district was stage 4 for bilingual. Every year since then, we have remained at a stage 4. This year, we are very pleased to show that the district has received a rating of a stage 3, already indicative that we are, as a performance from last year to this year, improving. On that note, 3 years ago, we started with a QTEL, all the training for our elementary and our secondary teachers. It was a long, tedious process to get all the teachers trained, but it's very good quality teaching that is still implemented today. We also had the creation of the 4 bilingual academies. We also had the hiring and the training of the strategist. That focused instruction with the C&I department, with the campus principals, with the support that we've received from the district to continue those targeted practices, the ratios of 15-1, the instructional aids, the training. Just that focus is what we believe is already showing a huge improvement in the staging. When you think that for the past 6 years we've been stuck at a 4, now we're starting to see everything come to within reason. At least now the teachers can see that all their hard work and that the focus and dedication is showing some results. We will continue to focus on the bilingual program and the other programs listed. As I mentioned, next month I will be presenting a more detailed plan with a plan of action. But for tonight, we do want to congratulate all the educators that work with these programs for their dedication and commitment. So, any questions at this time?
Questions? Yes, sir.
I was going to wait till the next, the campus performance objectives, but I still see a big issue there. For example, Buena Vista. The campus goals are very slight increase. Let's say bilingual students are in the 40s, test results. And so they continue next year in the 40s, like we're going to increase by 2 points. And the grading is going to come. This year, the district gets rated with an A through F. Next year, all the campuses get rated A through F. And we're no sense of urgency. I mean, I know we went from a 4 to a 3, but I would not have a campus performance goal of 40. And it is here. I mean, I tabbed
Yes.
it. It went like from 44 to 46. Well, that's too small of a gain because you're going to be a D or an F campus. And so there's something that needs to be aligned to increase that. We cannot wait to be receiving a letter grade if we're still in the 40s. That needs to improve like a whole lot. And I haven't seen yet, and I've asked for it, how we compare with the region and the state. I've asked for this information already. With test scores.
Mr. Overfeld.
Third, fourth, fifth, and so on.
Yes, sir.
The campus performance objectives are written in such a way to measure incremental improvement. I can entirely see the wisdom behind wanting to have goals that set you in a very comfortable position from one year to the next. And we all want that. But we're trying to set smart, realistic goals. Now, does the formula that we use adequately fit every single cell? I would say it doesn't, because some cells are a lot smaller than others, and therefore the improvement it doesn't come out correctly. I would suggest that for the sake of having something that's maybe more palatable to everyone, that in any area where the goal is below 60%, and that it doesn't decrease that rate by at least half, that we make that change. So if the goal, if the current standing, for example, would be at 40%, and the passing rate is 60% or 65, we'll cut that in half, okay, from one year to the next, and then make that adjustment. Because I entirely see what you're pointing out, Mr. Mesa, but I also want to say that we want to make realistic goals. That's why we wanted to share the PBMAS update, because these goals that we set come together to hopefully produce these kind of gains. But I see where you're coming from. Is that acceptable?
That would be ideal. I think we need to take a sense of urgency. It's coming, whether we want it or not. The A through F is coming. And I would be more comfortable to say, let's shoot for a higher percentage and not allow, ourselves to set a low standard for the teachers and say, okay, we met 2 points, we're okay. Well, we're not.
So for clarification, Mr. Overfeld, anywhere where we're below the passing standard, we'll cut that by at least half so that we can be at the passing standard in 2 years for that cell. Everywhere else where we're at that cell, we'll use the formula which has it, works it out for 5 years. Now, I don't want to appear to be contradictory, but these goals are also designed to make sure that we meet the accountability and continue to make advances. So even though the cells may not look appropriate in one area, that is one cell of the whole picture. In the case of Buena Vista, for example, I would think that this year there are probably our second highest achieving campus.
Yes, sir.
And certainly would not be at an F for one cell, but I think that we also have to make note that we need to push forward faster. So I'm willing to make that change, absolutely.
And I'm targeting bilingual because I know the goals that I gave you, the majority have to do with bilingual students. You know, I know that regular students are perhaps doing fine, but I'm targeting bilingual students. If you look at for the rest of the board members, I highlighted all these yellow tabs. Those are the ones that are super low, but look at the elementary, just Buena Vista, for example, alone. You'll see that it stays in the 40s for next year. And so I'm thinking, we got to shoot for higher goals. And I'm satisfied with what you're saying, Dr. Rios. I think we need to do that for the sake of the teachers and say that we'd like to be, a lot higher than the 40s and raise the standards.
If I may, Mr. Overfeld. Dr. Garza, for what I suggested, I think it's clear you understand what I'm saying.
Yes,
Is there anything that stands out of why that wouldn't be appropriate or doable?
No, sir, you stated it clearly that all those numbers count for the actual indices that they're being accounted for. So all that, if we do it like you're saying, it will only improve the actual score of the actual number of the indices.
Okay, very well. So.
So y'all will notate those areas in the finished product.
Yes, sir. And I'll share.
Halved, anything under 60%, below 60% halved, right, or cut in half was the goal?
Yes, sir, unless this current goal is higher than that.
Okay.
Can I state something? Just to clarify, like in Index 4 or Index 3 of the Buena Vista, it shows, for example, in reading, 14% economic disadvantage. Now that is a indices where it's actually the masters, the level 3, the top level performance. The actual percentage to get that passing rate is a lot higher than just the achievement. So that's why it's 13%. I'm sorry. Economic disadvantage is 14% in Index 3 for Buena Vista. And I can bring it up here.
We're talking about Index 1, overall
Okay,
performance.
Index 1. It's just that in Index 1, it's not specified by bilingual or they're all mixed in there. They're all accounted for. Until Index 2 and Index 3 is where it actually breaks it down by special ed, bilingual. But it's not necessarily the passing standard, it's the mastery level, which is the ultimate level.
So how are you going to set that then?
Excuse me?
How are you going to set that goal? If it's not a passing level, I mean, what is acceptable?
So we would need to calculate, and let me just go to the actual front page. If you look at the Index 1 in Buena Vista, and you look at the student performance standards in the bottom, it will show you the difference in actually achieving success. And just in reading third grade, our goal is to get 60% so they can actually just pass. But then for the final is 75%. So big difference. I would need to figure out a formula to make sure that it focuses on the actual percentage that the standard is. You can't just say, okay, well, half of the special ed students are going to pass. They might pass at the regular standard, but not necessarily at the final standard, which is the final recommendation that the state is making in 2018-19.
The only thing, you don't have it broken down by bilingual.
Yes, sir, that's correct. All the scores are there. What I'm saying is that when you go to the second index, it will show you the ELL scores. And all I'm saying is that the ELL score for standard, and I can't bring it up here. Reno, can you, let me just go to Buena Vista. Okay. Buena Vista right here. Just so that I can explain the difference between final and the standard. So if you look at this table right here, in 2017, 2018, they only have to achieve at third grade reading 60%, or 24 out of 40 questions. But the actual final recommendation by the state is 75%. And you're right, Mr. Mesa, special ed and bilingual are not included in here specifically, but it is part of the formula. All the tests are included: special ed, bilingual, and all STAR tests. So if you go to the next indices, which is index 2, which is growth, this is what I was talking about right here. In reading, and it's all the students, not just third grade, there's third, fourth, and fifth, but in reading, ELL students, at the minimum standard, which is 60%, it's at 53%. But at the next level, which is exceeds progress, it's 23%, which is a lot higher standard. I just wanted to clarify that. We can still do what Dr. Rios suggested. I just need to figure out the formula of how we're going to achieve that, because it's at a higher standard.
I understand, but to see it more clearly, I would have to see the region and the state, because that is how you look at it across the region, across the state,
Yes,
how
sir.
we fare with it.
Okay.
I know that we have the scores for the region and the state by grade level. Now, how they combine them by indices, I haven't seen that. I'm not saying it's not available. We can definitely research it. But as early as this Friday or this weekend's update, I'll provide the scores by grade level as we compare to region and state. I don't know about the indices. And then we'll go forward with my recommendation. Dr. Garza will work out his formula, and then I'll provide this in an update. I won't promise to provide this by this Friday, so you can see it clear, but I'll definitely provide it no later than the following weekend, so that if y'all want to bring it back and make more changes at the next board meeting, we can continue to do that. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay.
So administration would like to table this till November?
Well, I'd like to have the board approve it with the changes that I've suggested, and we can bring it back.
Look at it again in
Yes, sir.
November? That'd be okay? Okay. Okay. Do we want them to continue on with the presentation?
No, that's good.
Okay. We'll just take the recommendation
Yes,
to
sir.
approve
So
with the changes that have been mentioned.
Dr. Rios, do you want to read the recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, recommendation, please.
Mr. Overfelt, members of the board, it is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the district and campus performance objectives according to policy BQ legal and BQ local, with a modification of adjusting the goal as discussed in open session.
For the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Ms. Martinez-Lozano, seconded by Mr. Mesa. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Approved. Thank you. B, consideration to approve the resolution of the board to delegate approval of the off-campus activities to the superintendent for attendance accounting purposes. Dr. Garza.
Thank you, Mr. Overfelt. We have a group of kids that are going to the New York Macy's Parade and Thanksgiving. They are taking off at 1 o'clock on Friday, but they will be out on Monday. This is a resolution that allows us to have a sponsor with the students and actually count as present, just like any other UIL activity.
Yeah. So just kind of like we do with 4-H that we did a
Yes,
month
sir.
or so ago.
Yes, sir.
This one will just be for those other items. Any other or any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I do have one question. Is this a UIL?
It is not a UIL. That's why we are presenting this resolution, ma'am.
What have we done in the past, sir? This
In-
is not the first year we have
Right.
students going to the parade.
That's correct, ma'am. And in the past, we've missed out on that opportunity for funding. We found out about having the board pass the resolution after the fact. So we talked to TA and it could not be retroactive. They're the ones that encouraged us to do this in advance, and that's why we're bringing it to you. That's it.
Do you foresee this becoming a routine thing should our students wish to travel to Hawaii or elsewhere? Or
I think that for select groups that have worked on their fundraising, and I think that this particular group will probably continue to do this activity for a few more years to come. Are there other groups? Probably not with a school sponsor. Unfortunately, there are other groups that take these type of trips, but they're mainly tourist type trips and not necessarily tied to a specific goal. All these ladies that are going, they participate with Ms. Lopez in a classroom session. The students that go to take trips in Europe, they go with any teacher that sponsors the trip, but they're not necessarily their students. So it would be impossible to afford them the same attendance privilege.
I don't know when, but there was a student who was in band that participated in a special parade. I think he was a percussionist. Did that get counted as him being present? I mean, I know you can't do it retrospectively, but in the future would that, or would they all have to come to the board to get that approved?
They would have to come to the board.
Thank you.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the resolution of the board to delegate approval of off-campus activities to the superintendent for attendance and accounting purposes.
For the recommendation, I so move. Is there a second? Ms. Martinez-Lozano. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. C, consideration to approve the memorandum of understanding between Del Rio High School swim team and Lozano Fitness Center at Laughlin Air Force Base. Dr. Garza.
Yes, Mr. Overfeld, this is a memorandum that we have had for several years now with the base, with the Laughlin base, which allows our swimming team to go practice there. So the MOU has been written in accordance to the rules and regulations and what we have in our program.
Thank you. As said, this is something that comes every year so that we can use that because of the facilities. Any questions on that MOU recommendation?
It is the recommendation of the administration that the memorandum of understanding between Del Rio High School swimming team and Lozano Fitness Center at Laughlin Air Force Base be signed by our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Carlos Rios.
For the recommendation, I so move. Is there a second? Mr. Mesa. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Nothing for technology and operations, nothing for business and finance. 14, human resources, consideration to approve employee job descriptions, evaluation forms, and revised job classification schedule. Ms. Garcia.
Yes, sir. Mr. Overfeld, Dr. Rios, members of the board, an amended board memo was provided to include the compensation pay plan, which was included in your packet. The following job evaluations and evaluations were added to the board packet. We have administrative director, and the only change in that job evaluation was that we added that this is a cabinet level position. We also included a PEMS and assessment specialist, which this is a new position, and funds are being allocated from a change in the technology department that was also sent to you via board communique. We also had a change to the title of District Police Secretary. This was done through the budget process in August, but we had not amended or revised the job description, so we're doing this at this time also. The next 3 items, the Chief Human Resource Officer, the Chief Technology Officer Secretary, and the Federal and State Program Secretary, these are only title changes to correlate with the supervisor's title. The next items, Payroll Supervisor, Budget Coordinator, Purchasing Director, Comptroller, and Finance Coordinators. These job descriptions were being revised to assume some of the responsibilities from the Chief Accountant position that was deleted. Is there any questions on those before I move to the stipend?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Lozano.
Just a couple questions. We'll start with the last ones you talked about, the ones that, let me go back, I'm sorry. The coordinator, the budget coordinator, that did or did not change?
Those did have a few changes because we deleted the position for chief accountant and they assumed some of the responsibilities. And Ms. Valdez is here if you have any additional questions.
Anything else change, salary,
No, ma'am.
grade, nothing?
No, ma'am.
So you just made the changes. I do want to make a suggestion because I did notice that y'all changed central administration to the SBC. Why don't
right.
you just leave it administration building? Wherever the building's at, it doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
I mean, so you don't have to,
So we don't have to keep changing it.
who knows when your guys are going to move again, who knows? Okay, that was one. So the budget, the coordinator budget changed because you eliminated a position. The supervisor payroll changed because you eliminated a position. Those are the only 2 positions that were impacted due to the.
No, it's actually the last, 1, 2, 3. It's the last 5.
All the finance positions, ma'am.
So you just kind of divvied up the work.
We, I'm sorry, we realigned. It does not exceed the level of their position, but simply realigned some of the roles. For example, supervisor payroll, they were responsible for producing audit reports. However, we had the chief accountant doing that. So this does fall under the payroll department for them to produce reports that provide details to those supervisors that oversee employees who turn in timesheets. So those are what we call internal audit reports, which identify.
And that doesn't
I'm sorry?
increase their level of responsibility at all? So it shouldn't change their
It
salary
doesn't.
structure?
I'm sorry. No, ma'am. It does not change their salary structure. For instance, the payroll supervisor is at the top pay grade for paraprofessionals. And this individual, but this job description does not have a degree requirement. So it is at a paraprofessional position. They are responsible for monitoring that. That wording, though, wasn't included, so I made sure that we included it. So they were responsible for monitoring that. They would produce the reports and with the assistance of the chief accountant, but not now. Now it'll be at a continuous level where it's per pay period. But it doesn't change the level of work that they were performing.
But it was something that was previously performed by the higher level professional.
No, ma'am.
I'm confused.
No, it was supervised by the higher level professional. They were still doing the work.
Right.
In this case, they're going to continue to do the work. Ms. Valdez and the chief accountant
Will oversee that.
will oversee that.
The changes to the secretary, federal and state programs, that's just a title change?
Yes, ma'am. Those, the state, federal, and programs, the chief technology officer and the chief human resource officer, those are just title changes to correlate with the supervisor's titles.
Okay, and then the one on the chief of police, well, it's not chief of police anymore, it's just the police department, I guess.
Right, and that one was changed in August through the TASB salary study, and they recommended to change the title. So we did back in August, but we had not updated the job evaluation or the job description.
So the position didn't change, it was, again, it's just a title.
Since Chief Maldonado came in, she hasn't been, so that's why we removed that.
You removed it?
Mhm.
Okay. And her job did not, her responsibilities did not change, but her title changed, and her salary changed?
The salary did not change. What changed was the step, the pay grade, I'm sorry, the pay grade. So I think in August.
It changed from, I believe that was when we had the workshops.
Mhm.
You had all these changes, and she was the one that was pay grade 5, now she's pay grade 4.
Right.
So it
But
has
she did not
changed.
lose the money. It was,
But it still changed.
yes, it changed the
grade
pay
is
grade.
lower. What about these other positions? Were they also changed? Higher or lower?
No, ma'am, those stayed the
They all
same.
stayed the same.
Yes.
I thought when we made those changes, and yes, I'm all for the TASB salary survey and the changes that we've implemented. But I was under the impression that people would not be losing money and potential for growth. So if she went down a grade,
Yeah.
doesn't her salary range move this way?
Well, also with the TASB salary study came caps. So,
Right.
and I don't know if this individual was already at the cap.
On 5?
On 5.
So obviously she's way past cap on 4.
So
Yes.
there wouldn't be any increased potential because of the salary cap. So if she didn't lose any money, no. So whether you put her on 4 or on 6, if she's at the cap, she's going to continue to get the stipend that everybody else would get. But I want to make sure what I'm saying is accurate.
In the prior year's salary schedules, when the employee looked at those salary schedules, the comment that she made was that she was a step away from being at the max, but those were prior year. Every year that we do a salary study, TASB changes the ranges. So when TASB provided the ranges that would be adopted for 17-18, she was very close to the max, and at pay grade 4, what exceeded the max. So her longevity stipend would have been the same had she stayed and maxed out on pay grade 5, or now on pay grade 4.
Tell me again why we changed that?
That
It was the same?
No, the job position title, placing it at a pay grade 4 was a recommendation from TASB. They look at job titles and place them with their job classification group, and then individually, based on the range, is how the employee's salary or gross pay increase is calculated.
May I make a suggestion that we take this into
Yes,
closed
ma'am.
session.
Right.
Because
We're
we're talking
dancing
about
all
one
around it.
person, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recommend that too. I was just asking about the title.
I also have,
There was no Secretary of Police, there was an administrative assistant. So how could they have come up with that, the TASB people? But
I just
anyway,
want to say, I
let's talk
also have
about
lots of questions. I
executive
know I missed the first budget session, but I understand all the others, but when we have a title change, that's what I'm real concerned with, because it kind of slips from us, and then the salary is, either way, whether she was capped or not, it looks like we're bringing the pay down, and I don't want to make any title changes and then affect the salary. And likewise, like I know Ms. Lozano mentioned, when somebody takes that responsibility, I also want to make sure that they get also, compensation that might come with that because their job description changed. I know I brought this up before, but this is a sensitive issue, and I think we do need to talk about it in executive.
I agree.
If I may add just one item, sir, with these job description changes, we do have an annual contract with TASB to review, to continue to have a salary study. So these updated job descriptions, even though we have I did talk about it with the TASB representative. It didn't, for my department personally, it didn't increase the level of responsibilities. However, they do take the new job descriptions into consideration as they're doing their salary study for this upcoming year. But for my department, in that case, it did not increase their level of responsibilities. It was realigning workloads that they had.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
So do we adopt every one of TASB's recommendations?
Do we
Every
adopt
single
every
one.
one of TASB's recommendations?
Yes. Every recommendation that they come out with for this salary study, do we adopt it?
My
No.
response would be that the majority is.
Okay, so the answer is no.
No, not every single item.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're going to take the entire thing into closed. Not just that one, because there's some other questions, and we'll bring it out after close.
Okay, I guess another point. The job, we could discuss it as much as the board wants, but I would just encourage the board that if we want to talk specifically about salaries related to positions, that we have an agenda item so that we can take action if that's what the board chooses to do. All we would be able to do now is just provide some answers, and I can have Yana Connie dig up as many items as possible. But if you were to table it and bring it back, we can rewrite the agenda item and discuss it in closed session, and then you can take action if that's what the wishes of the board would be.
What is this over here, Mr.? That doesn't cover it, revised job description, classification schedule.
I'm fine tabling the entire thing till November, if the board wants to do that, so that we can go back in and specifically look at those financial questions, which we're starting to dance around an issue there that doesn't need to be in open session.
For all of the positions? Or are we talking about a particular?
Well, there's already been the questions about the ones that absorbed from those positions that were eliminated and stuff was, so I'd table that whole agenda item. That's going to be my recommendation here in a minute, unless somebody has another theory on that is super duper important, that the district will cease to function if we don't do it tonight.
Can it be tabled?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Motion to table 14A until November.
Second.
Second by Ms. Lozano. Any other discussion? In favor? Unanimous, thank you.
thank you.
15, nothing under student services. 16, closed session. If during the course of any duly posted meeting, the Board of Trustees determines that a closed or executive session is required on any item posted on the agenda, that session will be held on any and all subjects to the purpose permitted under 551.071, 072, 073, 074, 076, 082, 084, and 087 of the Government Code, Texas Open Meetings Act. Final vote is required on any matter considered in the closed executive session. It shall be taken either upon reconvening of the public session covered by this notice or a subsequent duly posted public meeting as the board shall determine. Tonight, pursuant to 551.074, discussion of personnel or hear complaints against personnel, and 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney, discussion of the personnel report to include new hires, district vacancies, retirements, resignations, reassignments, discussion of salary adjustments to include but not limited to service credit and salary matrix adjustments, and 3, discussion of the position of human resources coordinator. It is now 9:08 p.m. and we are in closed session. Thank you. All right. It is 9:57 p.m., October 23rd, 2017. This board will reconvene into open session. No action was taken. That brings us to 17A, consideration to approve the personnel report to include the following new hires and district vacancies, retirements, resignations. Ms. Garcia.
Yes, it is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the following new hires. Juanita Flores, kindergarten teacher at Dr. Lonnie Green Elementary. Rocio Peña, bilingual strategist at Garfield Elementary. Rosalinda Ramirez, interventionist for North Heights Elementary. Jane Hildreth, science teacher at Del Rio Middle School. And Donnie Espinosa, CTE health science teacher for Del Rio High School.
For the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Mr. Mesa, seconded by Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. And B, consideration to approve salary adjustments to include the following justifications, service credit and salary matrix adjustments.
Yes, it is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the salary adjustments as discussed in closed session.
For the recommendation, I so move. Is there a second? Ms. Lozano, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you. C, consideration to approve the position for human resource coordinator.
Yes, sir. It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the position for Human Resources Coordinator as Ms. Velma Valdez.
For the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Ms. Martinez-Lozano, seconded by myself. All in favor? Unanimous, carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
18, superintendent's report, the November regular school board meeting date. Because of, Dr. Rios, do you want to handle that?
Yes, sir. The third Monday of the month falls, it is a school day because of the calendar, but it's the wishes of the board. We could do it the week after, or we can keep it on that Monday. But that is the last school day.
Does the administration have a problem with it being before? Before?
Ms. Valdez, is there anything we couldn't get ready the week before?
The only thing that will be probably sent out with a board update on that Friday would be the financials. That would be the only thing besides that that would be tight on the deadline. We would have to meet on the 9th to have the finance committee meeting.
So instead of presenting it at the committee meeting, I would send the financials with the board update on Friday.
Okay. So the Monday before is the, what's the date of it again? 13th? 13th. So the 13th, the 20th, or the 27th. Does the board have a preference? I know I don't, because I've got to be working that week anyway. So, does anyone have a, because vacation for everybody in the district would start
Tuesday, the 21st.
Right, so 5 p.m. on that Monday, right, when everybody got done, so. Whatever the wishes of the board are, and I know there's only 4 of us, but does anyone prefer the the week before, that way it's over and done with, or the week after and we come back right after Thanksgiving and take care of it? Week before?
What date is that, you said?
The week before would be the 13th, and the week after would be the 27th, or we just keep it as the 20th. I'm sure there'd be a lot of people that'd like to not have to come back for the board meeting on the 20th, but
I'm okay with the 13th or the 27th.
13th fine for you? Okay, hopefully the other three who were not able to be here would be able to attend there, so the 13th sounds.
Mr. Overfelt.
Oh, never mind.
The, if we consider the 13th, and we don't have a problem with that, I'm just moving, thinking forward. And then in December, obviously it's scheduled for the 18th, which is still a work day. Okay. That puts it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Mondays out. But if you do it on the 27th, then obviously it reduces it for the December board and the span between meetings. And I'm just pointing that out for consideration. Having it on the 13th would be great because we're here and we're able to prepare for the meeting as opposed to being gone for all of Thanksgiving holidays. And then I'm asking people to come in to prepare for that Monday meeting. But it does increase the span. I just pointed that out. 13th is fine.
Okay, because we moved, this one was moved back there, so we've done the
Yes, sir.
span already. We've done that from the September to the October one. So.
Okay.
So if we'll put it down for the 13th, and if you just want to pull the other three, just to make sure.
Absolutely.
Okay. Being no further business before this board, is there a motion to adjourn? Ms. Martinez-Lozano, seconded by Mr. Mesa. All in favor? Unanimous carries, adjourned at 10:03 p.m.